Hi everyone, this is Chris versus Nick. Once again, round 1 of 2018, term 4. Let's have a look. Infinite analysis is on. Good. E4, E5, F4, King's Gambit. Oh, crazy stuff. I mean, yeah, no, it takes guts to play an opening like this, particularly in 60-minute chess. Either guts or insanity. They're pretty much the same thing. Let's go. Knight c6. Well, it's a King's Gambit. Aren't you meant to take the pawn? I'm sorry, I don't know any King's Gambit theory. In fact, let's go into the openings book. I'm going to cheat because I don't know any of this. Apparently, Knight c6 is kind of playable. I mean, e takes e4 is the normal sort of response. Knight f3, and then yeah, then you've got weird stuff like g5, or you can play something a bit more sensible like d5. But yeah, Knight c6, I don't know. According to Stockfish, it's okay. So, yeah, I won't spend too much on the opening here because I just don't know what I'm talking about. Knight f3, f6. Ugh, yuck. Before I start going crazy over this move, let's actually see if it's an opening line or not. Well, it's in the opening book. Knight f3, f6. But it's some obscure line by the looks of it. I mean, the basic principle is unless you absolutely definitely know your theory well, you never ever want to push this f pawn early on in the game. So knight c6, knight f3, f6. It's nearly always a blunder to do this. Is there a way for white to take advantage of it? I can't see one. I mean, the usual sort of idea is that you want to, you want to take here and then take with the knight, and your queen wants to come out with a check, but none of that actually works with the knight guarding e5 because you can't. This sort of sack doesn't work because a queen here, the knight can just jump in the way, either here or here, and block the check, and you've just thrown away a piece. So it doesn't look like there's a way to just take advantage of it. But I'm more thinking long term. If you just simply stick your bishop on the long diagonal, where's this black king going? Okay, knight c3 makes sense because it guards d5. I like that. But yeah, I mean, what if white just plays bishop c4 and just leaves a bishop on this diagonal? Where's this king going? It's a bit of a problem for black to deal with. I guess he has to go queenside then. But yeah, okay, let's just move on because I don't know the opening. Knight g7, yuck. Well, that's my first thought anyway. It just blocks the bishop in. So this bishop is just stuck here for a very long time. And where's this knight going from here? Maybe it's jumping out to here. I don't know if the knight wants to sit there. Maybe it does. Yeah, I would really highly recommend bringing the bishop out first, c5 or b4 or something, and then bringing the knight to e7. But bringing the knight to e7 straight away just looks like a positional blunder. Bishop c4, I like that move. d6, well, yeah, something like that has to be played. f5, okay, this is where white goes wrong. It can't be right to just to just block it up like that. The whole point of the King's Gambit is to put pressure on the center pawn with your side pawn. And looking at something like d4 is where I'd be looking at, so that you can get pawn, knight, all hacking away at e5. Another reason why the King's Gambit I think is good is is played is because when you castle, your rook is sitting behind the f pawn, and when you take here, you end up having a rook on this rook ends up on the half open or open file as a consequence. So by blocking it up, you just throw away all that amazing stuff that you can do. All the pressure on the center is gone, and any possible rook niftiness later on is also out the window. I think this position's now pretty equal. Black has these horrible light squared weaknesses and trouble with his king, but white doesn't really have a way to punish black, to smash down his position anymore, because one of his key pieces in smashing the position apart can't smash anything. So bishop d7 was played. Yeah, it's hard to play this position as black. I will admit, it's difficult to find a way to play this. Black wants to castle queenside, but getting his bishop and queen out of the way is quite a problem. If his bishop sits here, where does his queen go? I'd be looking at maybe, I don't know, something along the lines of trying to get c6 in, so the queen can come out along this diagonal. Maybe moving the knight back home. Well, that doesn't look right either. Maybe jumping the knight into here and just offering a trade, just so you can play c6 and, oh, I should turn those notifications off, otherwise you're going to hear beep beep constantly. Yes, Dennis, that's actually very funny what he wrote. Anyway, notifications off, off, off. Okay, sorry about, no more beeping. Okay, so bishop d7 is, yeah, where's this queen going? This knight has to move. Let's look at Stockfish. Not that I think Stockfish's analysis would be all that useful in this type of position. Well, so actually, it wants to play knight a5. I think we're looking at another case of a really bad knight. It's going to be a pretty terrible knight because you have to play something like b6 so the knight can escape afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's just dive forward. d4. That could solve a lot of black's problems for him if he just takes it with the knight. He wants to get this knight out of the way so he can play c6, get his queen out and castle queenside. So just knight takes d4 looks like the move to me. But now he plays knight a5. And we've got the situation where this knight is in a very uncomfortable position. Like a very simple bishop d3, for instance. And yeah, what does black do with this knight? You can't play c6 because he ends up losing it to b4. Engine is saying c5. Okay, yeah, then the knight can hop back in behind, and the pawn on c5 stops b4. That's fair enough. Okay, it's okay. What did black play? White play, sorry, not black. Queen d3. No, you don't want to let black trade off his knight for your bishop. Your bishop is your best piece on the board. It's just so incredible. This controlling this diagonal, particularly when your opponent has all these pawns on black squares. These light squares are so weak. You don't want to trade that bishop off. That bishop is amazing. So queen d3 I think is a positional blunder. And just simply moving the bishop somewhere. What about into e6? I mean, you've already got your pawn on d4. The idea would be to play d5 next move and just cement that bishop in there forever. Whoa, whoops. Maybe you can't get away with that. Maybe he can just take it and, oops, what did I just do? New main line, okay. Bishop takes e6, f takes e6, then I think this is forced. So doubled isolated e-pawns. Pretty bad. This looks very overextended at the moment. Looks like eventually, one day, deep in the future, black is going to win that pawn. Maybe with a maneuver like knight here to here and the queen going here, and maybe this knight has to move around from there to there or something. Eventually this pawn is going to fall. But until then, white has got some pretty active pieces. Yeah, I think it's a bit risky playing like that. I don't like putting the bishop in there. Maybe just simply retreat the bishop to d3 or something. It's not really the best bishop I've ever seen in my life. Maybe back to e2 is better. Because then at least you've got this bishop check out to h5 after this knight moves away. I really do think, though, for the long-term potential of this piece, it is going to be a great piece that white should be willing to waste some moves rerouting it and getting it out of contact with that knight. Okay, so he played queen d3. Black, I think, undoubtedly should take, but he didn't. He played knight ec6. That gives the bishop an extra move to escape. I'm not sure where it's going. Maybe here? Maybe now jumping it in there is good. Takes. Oh, maybe not. It's actually quite irritating. It's annoying. It's hard to analyze this position, but yeah, knight there does create a few problems for white to deal with. Let's move forward. A3. Okay, trying to sneak the bishop back to A2. Black probably should take right now, or at least swap off here first and then take. He didn't do either though. He went A6, and I think that's a blunder. I think a positional blunder anyway, not a tactical blunder. The bishop should just drop right back into A2 now, and that bishop is incredible. I know it's sitting here in the corner, but it's actually a very scary piece along this whole long diagonal. Very, very strong piece. He didn't retreat it though. He went D takes E5, which gives black the time to take the bishop, which he didn't do. He went D takes E5, which once again lets the bishop retreat back to A2, and white's position's amazing. But he didn't retreat it. He went bishop E3, which once again gives black the opportunity to take it, and this time black did. I mean, if you think about it, this knight is terrible. You know, white should be bringing his bishop back here and just pointing at this knight saying, what a terrible piece this is. You know, the immediate threat is B4 just winning it. That's how bad it is. You know, forcing something like B6 or B5 so that the knight can jump into B7. Bishop E3 was played. Black took the bishop. Queen took back. And now knight A5. What's the phrase? The knight on the rim is dim. I'm not sure the knight wants to sit there. What should black be doing here? It's a really difficult thing. Maybe just develop the bishop. Bishop D6. And then, you know, maybe the queen can come in behind it. I mean, you don't want to play queen E7 here because you're blocking your own bishop in. But if you get your bishop to D6 first, then your queen goes to E7. Your king can then look to castle to the queen side and get out of there. Or the queen could go here and then here and try and trade off with this queen. Instead he played knight A5, hitting the queen. And where does the queen go? Engine is saying E2. I prefer A2. D5 is an option. Yeah, this is a very hard position to analyze. Let's just go through it. Queen D5 is not a blunder, so let's just look at it. C6. I'm not fancying this knight's mobility here. Yep. Obviously that wasn't played. The knight is in danger though. But yeah. Bishop C6 apparently is an option. Okay, let's see what happens. If I try and take this knight, what happens? Apart from the computer locking up. Apparently B6 is good for black. He's just thrown away a piece. Why is B6 good for black? Is that queen trapped? The queen is trapped. Wow. Wow. So, bishop C6, queen can't take knight, it just gets instantly trapped. And you can't even sack your bishop. Oh, C6, yeah. Bishop C6, if you grab the knight, takes here, you can't even just sack this back for 2 pawns because the queen is still guarding it and this queen still ends up being trapped. Pretty funny stuff. Okay, so bishop C6 I think is best. He played C6. The queen went to A2 now. I think that's okay. Staying on that diagonal. Bishop E7. Hello, knight trapped. Needs to play B5 here so the knight can escape. And white misses it. B4 just wins a piece. Trapped knight. Okay, castled queenside. The rook's pinning the bishop to the queen. At this point, just B5, and that's what was played, so the knight actually escaped. So white had his one chance to win a piece. He missed it. Rook D2. Okay, he's just doubling his rooks, which looks really strong. The problem with The plan, I mean, looks strong. The move does not look strong. It just lets the knight jump into c4 and then trade for this amazing dark squared bishop. Obviously, rook, if you want to do something like this, surely rook d3 is better. And then the rook comes across. Rook d2 just looks a bit careless. And yeah, black found it. Knight c4. Then the rook had to waste a move again, playing d3. And now the knight can just grab the bishop. But he didn't. He should have. Just take it. Just grab this bishop. Imagine what would happen if you grab the bishop and then played c5. Black's position's looking pretty good now. He's got the queenside pawn storm coming down against the castled king. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, and the bishop can hop into c6, and yeah, he can always play c4 as well, blocking off that queen, which would give him the move he needs to castle. So yeah, c5 is good. Yeah, he should have just taken. He didn't. Maybe he was thinking that his knight is much stronger than this bishop. Maybe. I mean, it is a very powerful knight. Very annoying. I just see this bishop as being white's good bishop because it's on a different color square to his pawns, and you should nearly always just rip off your opponent's good bishop anytime you get a chance. But maybe what he was doing was not too bad. Knight d2, pretty much forcing white to take on e3, which black to take on e3, which I think was what black wanted to do anyway. What about just doubling and attacking this bishop? This bishop does not really have anywhere good to go. Yeah, I mean, does it go to c8? Yuck. Yeah, I'm liking white's position here. Okay, so we played knight d2, forcing the swap off. The rook took, and then the queen went to b6. Hits the rook and improves the position of the queen with one move. And now he can castle long next move. Yeah, I like it. I think it's okay. Rook d3 was played, and now castles long. Okay, so when you're analyzing games, you want to pay very close attention to the engine's analysis. When you go from 0.2 or 0.0 or whatever its analysis is changing its mind a little bit, but basically it's saying the position's roughly level, and then after playing this move, which looked like the logical move, suddenly white is 3.34 pawns up. That means castling long is a tactical blunder, that there's an immediate way for white to win material. I have to admit I didn't even see it myself, but apparently, according to the engine, Queen f7 wins a ton of material, or over 3 points worth of material. Why? That's what we got to work out. Is it purely because the g7 pawn is on pre, and maybe the bishop doesn't want to drop back to f8? Okay, if the bishop drops back to f8, it gets in the way of these two rooks defending each other, which means that there's potential pins on this d-file here. It's still hard to see how white has won 4 points of material, though. Maybe there's the simple threat of moving the knight, and this bishop can't be defended enough times. It's currently got 2 defenders and 2 attackers. Can't this queen just drop back and defend it, though? It's quite amazing that this is losing for black. I mean, black is definitely passive, but I would have thought black could hang in there with this position. What about a move like bishop e8? What's wrong with that? Apparently, queen e6 is what's wrong with it. King b7, and then discovered attack. Well, kind of like a discovered attack. The knight gets out of the way of the rook, with the doubled rooks both threatening to take on d8, and simultaneously attacking the queen at the same time. Okay, so bishop e8, which looks like it holds everything, actually fails to a discovered attack, a weird sort of discovered attack. It's I don't know what to call this. It's a clearance sacrifice. Yeah, line clearance. It's clearing the line so that the rooks can come down here and take. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so bishop e8 isn't possible. That's extraordinary. I didn't see it at all. I just looked at it and thought, oh, castle's long and black has solved all these problems. But no, queen f7 is extraordinary. There you go. Quite amazing. Okay, let's not dwell too much on it. There's still a lot of moves left in this game, and I'm already 20 minutes in. Okay. Let's race through it. Knight f3. So white missed his opportunity. The position is level. Bishop c5 apparently loses a pawn. Why does that lose a pawn? Apparently rook hf8 needs to be played. Oh, to stop the queen jumping into here. So after bishop c5, b4 can apparently be played. And it is just weird. Weird position. I'm just going to race through these moves. If I can't really see the best what's going on in this position, I'm not sure the two players playing have any clue what's happening. This is, yeah, this is just one of those games where there's weird stuff going on beneath the surface, and you really need to have some really long thinks to understand it all. Strategically, the main idea seems to be whoever controls the d file will win. So whoever manages to get control of the d file, which should be white, with his doubled rooks, white should have a huge advantage. On the other hand, black has got two bishops, but the position's all blocked up, so the two knights are probably a little bit better than the two bishops at the moment. Maybe black needs to pursue a plan of g6 or something to try and swap off some of these pawns so these bishops become more powerful. Okay, so we played rook hd1 instead. Yeah, okay. And g6 was played, so basically exactly the plan I just mentioned. However, in this position, that fails tactically. It's a good plan, it just is bad because it allows that same annoying queen f7 idea. The queen jumping into f7. Who would have thought this was so devastating? In this case, it's threatening to take this pawn. So after queen f7, how do you defend this and this at the same time? I mean, can you just take here, or is that just horror? Oh, yeah, there's a million things attacking d7. You can't just take there. You have to deal with this, so you have to defend it somehow, or counterattack the queen. Well, what is wrong with that? Apparently, oh, the queen just takes this pawn here. And yeah, this queen is still, yeah. The other option is just move the queen back to defend the bishop. And white will win something, surely. Yeah. So that queen infiltrating to f7, that is just devastating. And here, oh, white found it. Queen f7. Good stuff. Well done, Chris. That was brilliant. Black threw in a check. Bishop e3 check. The king just moved. And this is a problem. So bishop d4 was the proposed solution. I guess it does get in the way of those rooks, but I'm just looking at it. 1, 2, 3 attackers, only 2 defenders. So you know, surely that just loses a pawn. White can just take it. And after takes, and black still has a ton of problems to deal with in that the doubled rooks and the queen all hitting this bishop on d7. But white didn't take it. White instead took here. Black is in trouble. Black has to take back. Yeah, well, white can just take it anyway. So yeah, what did seems okay. E takes d4, rook takes d4. This is a problem. Bishop g4 was played. That just allows a mass swap off here. And this pawn is going to fall at the end of it all. White should be, yeah, a ton of material up. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, queen takes, queen takes g6. The bishop is on pre. And yeah, white's just winning. White is 2 pawns up and has this passed h pawn that's just going to run up the board at a really fast rate. So black played bishop d1. I mean, you can understand why. He's trying to get his queen in here and threaten some stuff on this c2 pawn. And if the knight swaps, the queen comes in check and grabs the c pawn. So bishop d1 looks like a good idea. g4 was played. Apparently king c1 is best here, because it threatens to just take the bishop straight off, and it's very hard to see how does black even handle that? Doesn't that just lose a piece? So the bishop there, you can see why he wanted his queen to come in and get some good play. Unfortunately, just king c1. He didn't play king c1, he played g4, but that allows the queen to infiltrate into d2. And now the threat of taking here is a bit of a problem. That pretty much forces e5. Black took on e5, and then white just kept going with his pawns down the queen side. It's worth noting though that he's got some pretty nasty checks here, and bishop takes c6 check looks pretty devastating actually. Because which way does he go? Yeah, I mean if he goes to d8, then maybe you can just swap queens. It's a bit risky though. You'll only be a pawn up in a bishop versus knight ending. But maybe there's a lot of really good checks here. Oh, according to the engine, knight d5 is just devastating, because you're just threatening checkmate, mate in 2, and the queen is defending c2 from the c6 square. Yeah, that just wins. Or does it? Maybe, hang on. What about bishop takes here to deflect the queen away so the queen can take the knight? Oh, hang on, the king can just move. Ha. That's pretty cool. You don't take the bishop, you just move the king, and there's still checkmate coming up. And black's in a lot of trouble. He's going to have to give up this bishop at least. But here, instead, he played h4. And instead of being, what was it? I thought I saw a 12 there. 13 points of material up. He's only 4.5 points of material up. Almost 5. Okay, bishop f3 was played now. And white just found a very simple queen fork. Queen f5 check. Attacking the king and the bishop at the same time. Well spotted by white. King c7. Queen takes f3. This game should be all over now. Queen e1 check, king a2. This king has got plenty of defense on the queen side. There's no way black can set up a perpetual check, any sort of repetition of position here. And these pawns are just going to cruise through. Black should probably grab one of them right now and hope that he finds a way to grab the other. c5. Okay, black is intent on busting open this king to create a perpetual check. White just ignored it. b4. Yeah, he's trying to bust it open. Well done to black. He's trying to keep his chances of drawing this game alive. Knight d5 check, king d6. And then he went h6. That pawn is scary. c4. Okay, black hasn't given up yet. He's still trying to bust that king open, force a bunch of swap-offs, of pawn swaps, so he can get the queen in there and start trying to draw the position. But white just takes this pawn here, and that probably ends all the bust-ups. There's nothing black can do, really. Maybe he should just start swapping pawns, or maybe play a5 first to defend the b pawn, and then go c4. It's very hard. You're running out of time. This pawn is only 2 squares away from becoming a queen. So fair enough, him playing c4 and hoping that white gets so excited by this idea of queening that he allows some sort of weird swap off. Whoa. But white didn't panic. He thought, no, I didn't have to rush this pawn up. I'm just going to eliminate your counterplay, and took the pawn. And I think black's toast now. e4, queen f6 check, king c5. Yeah, let's charge in. I mean, he should. He's doing the right thing. h7. c3. So, yeah, well done, Nick. He's really trying to bust this position open and give himself some counterplay. Queen c6 check, king d4. Here, white can just simplify the position greatly by just playing queen takes and swapping queens off, and then queening a new pawn, and then the game's over. Or just get a queen with check. Yeah, queen here, check. King goes here. Queen c5 check. King went there. Okay, he's just trading queens. Yeah. Last ditch attempt at trying to set up a stalemate. But yeah, game over. Pawn up, pawn takes, and checkmate. Yeah, interesting game. Very weird position in the middle there. Had me very, very confused as to what was going on. From about here onwards, it just got weird. Um, just strange stuff happening in this game. And I think at the end of the day, yeah, it was all about the D file, who can control it first. But the main thing to look at is this diagonal here. And this queen popping into f7 was a decisive thing. So this move early on in the game, f6, it really did punish black. So, the move he played on move 3 created an open diagonal, and this queen actually ended up sitting on that diagonal nicely for a large part of that game, and ended up infiltrating into f7 at the crucial time. And that's pretty much where the game was decided, was by that diagonal. A combination of controlling that diagonal and controlling the only open file on the board, the D file, with his rooks. Did White do it perfectly? No, he made quite a few mistakes along the way, but his plan was pretty good in how he tried to approach it. Just needed to find, pick up on those opportunities and not waste a move of his rook early on. But pretty good game and very weird and interesting position. Okay, that's about it for this game. Hope everyone learned something. Goodbye.